Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central, and today is Tuesday, November the 12th, 2019. And I'm back again with my gal pal posse, riding again tonight. Boy, I'm telling you, Lisa and I just did a video, and she was talking about a tsunami, and it kind of feels that way, no doubt. I mean, so far I'm floating on top.
Yeah. The love tsunami is here.
Yeah, it sure feels that way.
Yeah, it does to me.
So this is really kind of a carryover conversation from last night, isn't it, BZ?
Well, it's its own ginormous conversation. The one last night I was thinking that, that would be helpful to have first, but it doesn't really matter.
Oh, okay. Well, I kind of see them as, well, consecutive for a reason, I guess. And, I know that's a linear sort of deal, but I guess you could breathe it in. Well, we're breathing in our new, well, the title is Breathe in Your New Incarnation. And I don't want to breathe mine in until I've burnt off this other stuff. So I guess that's why, for me personally, it felt like a carryover from that. I'd like to.
Well, that's an interesting thing to play with, an angle of this to play with.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, okay, so
you want to wait?
Say what?
You want to wait?
No. Didn't say anything about waiting.
Polishing up the old?
No. I'd like to just, burn it. Let's go. Let's burn it off and move. That's what I'm feeling.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's what I mean. I don't want to wait for anything. Thank you.
No, I'm just curious how it flows. So,
okay.
And then there could have been others that were asking at the same time. Yeah, I want to get it. Like,
I don't think it's going to be perfect by any stretch, and I'm not worrying about that anymore because, well,
but it is perfect. It's always even in the.
I'm thinking 3D programming and conditioning perfect, okay? Because I'm still, reconditioning.
When I look around sometimes and metaphorically and literally my shirt is torn or my mud on my face or egg or whatever it is, I'm doing a good job. I'm really doing it. I'm working it. It's good. Keep going.
Well, I didn't used to hold things like that myself either, but now I feel very much, I'm not maybe as enthusiastic as you just yet, but I'm working on that enthusiasm for, I'm not, well, let's see, I'm not beating myself up for that anymore, which is progress. So,
well, it's huge. I mean, yes. Not just for you, for everybody, and for people to hear about that, for someone else to step forward and declare that, and and I'm saying the same kind of thing when I'm, in the thick of it.
Right.
I quit doing it years ago because I just got so sick of myself. Whining about it, like, why is this happening to me? It was like, okay, shut up already. I don't know if there's anybody else in the world, but you're making me sick of you.
Yeah, that's quite a feat when you're making. I've done that. Myself sick of myself.
The only way I change when I am sick and tired of it, I just simply stop.
Right.
That's all.
Well, yeah, not beating myself up was a really big deal, first of all. And something else that I now notice about myself too, that really, it goes to that whole burning away of things, is rather than trying to suppress an uncomfortable emotion or feeling that might come up, specifically when it involves someone that I love. Mm-hmm. I'm speaking again about my conversation with Lisa yesterday. We touched on that briefly last night. I had feelings arise within me that I didn't know what to do with, quite frankly. Well, you know, I was sharing with you guys about the swirling that I was doing in here. And the old me would have suppressed that, put it down, and said, well, you're just being silly, let it go. And that's not good either. At least it's not for me, because that I've seen what that ends up looking like. It looks like resentment. It looks like, especially when in this particular case, there was a lack of all the data, first of all, and to suppress that is not being true to me.
Right. Well, it's an intellectual. It's a great, kind of definition in the dictionary for an intellectual exercise if you went all the way through with it. Because how many times have you said, and in a beautiful way to share it with people?
Thank you, Keegan.
Love you, John.
He's breathing in his new incarnation. That where you are and in the space and place and energy frequency that you all are creating there, that you do these kinds of things. So if you walk off and say, oh, well, whatever, and then, like I said, it's, another one of those things, not only go through it, but it's another proofing for you that no, this is not an intellectual exercise for you anymore. It's just it won't stand for you. It simply won't stand. And
right.
That's a huge thing to celebrate, because now, in the very best sense of the word, and maybe I'll have to come up with another phrase to call it, but you're on auto expansion pilot then, instead of being on autopilot.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I like.
Well, I like
so
that.
You don't have to think about it. You just do it, because in every part of all of your bodies, there's no groove anymore to just be in an intellectual exercise. There's no groove to slough things off. It just doesn't exist. In fact, it's so far the opposite that all of the bodies are working and rolling in this whole thing, that as you move through and something happens, you go, okay, we're not circular, we're going to take this rotary here, and we're going to go to discuss this kind of thing, and then we're going to go back around the rotary, and we're going to go off into the next thing.
Right.
And you seamlessly do it.
Right. And I guess that's why I felt like they were consecutive, because I'm feeling that happening at the same time, actually, really simultaneously, as the breathing in of my new incarnation. So it's not a waiting for.
No.
It's not I can't do that until I do this, because that's certainly not the case.
It's more that the essence of you that is emerging, that is growing and expanding and changing everything, that is what's burning off the dross.
Yeah, so simultaneous.
Yeah, you could picture too, just the way you're both saying it, is that the breathing in is reigniting the flame, and or
the ignition point.
Yes, and the other thing cool is as you're doing them, in concurrence, you're at each time you breathe in, either on a specific drossness or aspect of your new incarnation, however you want to. So you're kind of mirroring it back and forth. There's a new pyre. Remember, I was talking about that pictorial view, that there's different colors and different frequencies, right? And so there is the burning and the igniting and the unveiling and the, flowing into and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, what came in for me when you were sharing that, Lisa, actually, what came in immediately was, the breathing in of that new incarnation is providing the oxygen for the burning, the alchemical burning that's taking place. And how lovely is that? And I know that we are all doing this, whether we're recognizing it or not,
Right.
you know, whether we're consciously aware of it or not. Um,
And you don't, I just want to stop for a minute because someone asked, well, do we have to? And no, you don't have. Just like you don't need to know certain words or stand with your hand up or, you know, have read the certain book or whatever. One of the things that's really cool and fun is that when you maybe listen to something like this, or you experience something yourself, and you because this is you are the manual for you. It's just the way it is. And so something clicks, something you notice, something so you breathe in, you know, a page, a chapter, whatever. And as you play with it, it's really quite delicious because you get a pictorial guide to your own unfolding, to your own beingness. And the moment doesn't just happen by you. There's such deliciousness in there. There's such, even in the messy parts, there's such deliciousness and beauty in there. And you can see, and then you go, well, okay, well, what if I, you know, feel this or do this or think that or breathe in intentionally for that? And then it's almost like, you know, any kind of thing that you're playing with, or is it, you know, well, look at, I can make the ping pong ball bounce this way, or with bubbles and blowing bubbles, and I can, hey, look, I got 2 bubbles to join together, and I get 3, you know, kind of a thing. And now you're off to the races because you're playing with all of this, and what you're saying to you is, I'm remembering, I'm stepping into, I'm breathing in that new incarnation where all of this is flowing, and I'm flying. I can really just feel me soaring. And as I soar on one kind of mode of transformation, I may, you know, whistle up a dragon or a Pegasus or whatever it is, and go on to the next, or a whole host of them, and we're all doing it together. And there's also that being of service part, you know, that mission part, that role part, where we talked a little bit about last night, where you will encounter a being in various different ways, shapes, and forms. And maybe you heard from a friend that, you know, one of their relatives died or something. And so instead of the kind of general platitudes that come, you know, like the God bless yous, right? You know, there are, I mean, think about it. There's a whole laundry list, and it's just said, and some people truly put some energy, frequency, and love behind that. Most of them is just, you know, because I'm tired, or sorry for your loss, or blah, 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 blah. And okay, next, you know, I did it's the obligatory thing.
Yes.
And so in a moment like that, or any other, but this just one comes to mind, in this breathing in this whole thing we've just been talking about, you breathe that in for a moment and meet them, and what would be that you are moved to share, that you are moved to somehow connect with, comforting, engaging, interacting, connecting in a way that is just heartfelt. And you may say you're writing it down or something, and you may write it and think, well, that's not what people usually say, but it came that way. You'll be really surprised that no matter who the being is, or, you know, if you're thinking about level of awakeness, doesn't really matter, but the reaction that you get back is light comes through from the other being, reaction back to you, because there is that touching, you know, there's that genuine, people know it, people feel it's that heart to heart thing.
You know, you just explained something for me that I didn't understand until this moment.
Oh.
And this was an interaction between you and I.
Okay.
Yeah. I knew it was. I couldn't remember what I'd sent with it, but it was that little polymer clay oil diffuser thingy that I sent to you. I think it broke or something. And you said to me, this was and it was the note that I had written to you. And I was like, how did that, I didn't quite understand, because my perception of that was that, I mean, granted, the little trinket I sent you was broken, so I got that part. But the heartfelt that I felt, that I witnessed, that you actually spoke to me in regards to the little handwritten note that I had included with it, that felt way more important to you than anything else I had done. And that moment, I didn't quite grok it. And I'd kind of forgotten about it until you were speaking on this right here. Mm-hmm. And so that I can now say that I totally grok what you're saying right now, because I experienced it with you, and I just didn't know what it was I was experiencing. Mm-hmm. So that's a very true statement there that you're speaking on. I remember when I first started hanging with you ladies, that what
a bunch of weirdos, wackos. Woohooos.
No, I felt like the weirdo at first. Honestly, now you both know that, because I didn't think I was feeling, like frequencies and things like that, like you two obviously were. I just feel them a little differently, and I recognize that now, and I recognize how it is that I feel those things. So, and that's all due to my tuning into myself and paying closer, your advice in regards to noticing. Yeah, honestly, these videos have been a manual, if anybody's been paying attention. As far as I'm concerned, anyway, it's been my manual. Let's just
let the cat out of the bag.
As far as I'm concerned, anyway. And so, but now, so yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there because I've experienced that now. So you're absolutely right in that. I guess that's really why following one's heart's desire and coming from the heart, now I really get that too, is just the best policy to have, period, because it is felt no matter what we might think.
Right.
Just like that judgment frequency is felt even if you don't say it. I figured that out too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's interesting, just one last thing to finish them up. There was a time, I don't know, like earlier this summer, mm-hmm. and there was a group of people and some acquaintances, we'll say, that I had. And I've known them for a while, and they're more acquaintances, so that there isn't as, I like them and there's friendship there, but they're acquaintances in that there isn't a lot of deep connection, simply because they won't allow it, just because they don't know how to. They're in the superficial world and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And no admonition, it's just how they are. In fact, they're still friends and acquaintances, and I play with them in a way that I play with them that is comfortable for them. Okay. Mm-hmm. Anyways, so in that group, we got together one time, and someone was sharing that something had happened with them, and they wanted to do they wanted to play some kind of like a gratitude game. Make a little bowl and asked. They said, well, maybe everybody would write, because they were this was something they'd heard about. They'd never done this before. They heard about it. So everybody wrote something and put it in the bowl. And when they pulled out the one that I had written, and I don't think there was any tell as to how it was written, but they read it. And it was the same kind of thing where, what was written, the intention behind what was written, and it wasn't signed or anything, but the intention behind what was written was, again, that heart connection that we were just talking about.
Yeah.
And the look on their face and the feeling that they were exuding, because it truly touched them. So in this instance, it was, in theory, anonymous, And I think it was one of the last, or towards the last of the ones they'd written out. So kind of everybody else had already knew that they're sort of, and you could see some people were going, it was so different than any of the others. And I was fascinated because, not at all by the person's reaction, because when it's genuine at heart, you just know that that's the thing. In fact, it's almost like they've told you what is the most supportive, helpful way, and then they're bringing the message to themselves. They're calling it forth, and you just write it down, or whatever mode you're using.
Yeah.
But what was interesting to me was some of the other, I think it was maybe, I don't know, 8 or 10 people there. The reactions of some of the other people are almost like, when you say judgment, which made me think about it, almost like, well, that was a weird thing to say. Mine was, this kind of stuff. And I keeping a totally neutral energy, totally into your face. But it was so interesting to watch because it was out of the same kind of, gesundheit, bless you, platitude kind of a thing. And, but some of them were taking it on as if envisioning themselves. And that then started a whole other thing that, people were talking about. And the reason I bring that forward is because people will be in places like, just like this. That's an instance of breathing in their new incarnation, and they may take a short breath and go, maybe if you take an icy cold breath in the air outside, it's the same kind of thing. And so there may be hesitancy, and they may go, it smells good. Oh, wow. Like they, just passed a bakery or something like that, or a really beautiful flower in a garden or something. And they're kind of, like the Pied Piper, they're drawn to it. They're off searching for the bakery or the garden or whatever else it is. And when you're playing with this, it's for each being. It's not what there's no other standards, because it's all unique to each of us. So if you're kind of looking and thinking, well, what do you think or whatever, it doesn't fit another. There can be shared, there can be in the act of just sharing how your experience is with something, even if it's not understood or totally different than the others, it's another perspective. It's another way to understand. It's why we share stories. It's why we share books, or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's breath. It's truly is. If you think that's what I wanted to say is if you think for a moment, feel into for a moment the mechanics of breathing, and a conscious breathing, and a full breathing. And as I'm saying this, and you're just thinking about it, what are you feeling differently in your body from the moment I started talking about it? You feel the oxygenation, right? Going into, you feel all of that. And I didn't say, okay, let's breathe deeply now.
No, you didn't. But obviously that was there, because the moment you started speaking on it, I did start breathing more deeply.
Right.
And just, I pulled my attention. So you were absolutely correct. I pulled my attention momentarily. Now I'm talking, so it's not there. But yeah, I'm I don't know, very focused, or trying to be very focused. So but yes, you were right. I could feel the breath go in and right. And so it was very interesting, actually.
Yeah, there's
Reaction.
something very magical about the breath. I use it for everything, and every part of me can breathe.
I'm sorry, I just love the way that came out.
No, I know. She says the most lovely thing sometimes that she doesn't even realize what. Yes, honey, I know you use your breath for everything. She also uses her breath to help me breathe.
Right.
That's a real thing, and that has happened.
Thing.
And it has helped because I still have issues with breathing, and there are days when I wake up in the morning and it's a struggle. and she has absolutely assisted. So yes, I know that that's true.
It's a technique. You just need to master it. Practice it and practice it and practice it. That's what I did.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I do it with you, that's why I tell you I'm doing that.
Right.
So we can do it together.
Well, it does seem to help because now there's been a time or two when you first started doing it that you didn't say anything, and I did notice anyway.
No, I know, but I want you to breathe in that way, not for me.
Right. Well, I noticed that it's also what it does for me is it helps bring my focus and attention there, right?
Yes.
And I'm like, well, wait a minute. If she's helping me, I need to help myself a little bit more too.
Yeah, and I don't have to do it for you. You can do it for you.
Right.
Right. Well, and you haven't had to
in that fashion.
Right. And that's something that you haven't really had to in a while. So
no.
Yeah.
I want to play for a moment here. Something is still formulating. So
okay.
See if I can. Something interesting came about in this whole exchange. So I had trouble breathing, and Lisa helps me for that, and I'm actually seeing all of this happen, but I want to tie it into, actually, this is an interesting place, I think, if I can pull it in an experiencing, picturing way, where you remember you were talking that, one kind of precedes the other and is following through on and stuff. So I had the picture of, you had said, Sheila, just a moment ago about I haven't really breathed well my whole life, and then there was a time when I really couldn't breathe at all, right? And you've also, not right this moment, but you've also said, well, you're totally different and unrecognizable from what you were before. You feel that way, all that kind of stuff. And whereas you may have a tendency to describe that and actually do, where your breathing is not that intentional, not conscious, because you said, well, I could feel, I didn't ask anybody to breathe, I was just talking about it. But in a way, that was asking you, that I was asking, that I was having you breathe with me as I was talking about the breathing, is basically what I was doing. Mm-hmm. And you said, well, now I'm talking, so I'm not that focused on it. Okay, so it's kind of, it's like, I got to breathe and do this. And what I'm saying, the picture that's coming is that you were breathing in to a new chapter in, if we're going to use old and new, just for an old a new chapter of that Sheila, as you shifted in your journey with Lisa coming and you getting better and the last former husband leaving and all those kinds of stuff. You were breathing it in and out and ushering all of these new changes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So anyways, that just came as a good bridge between the burning off of and the breathing in. And as Lisa said, you are breathing it in, and Sheila said you're oxygenating and giving more life to the fire to burn off of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's like a simultaneous happening.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because especially when there is intention, when there is that focus in it, and that honoring of yourself to move forward, so that you, on some level, however you would characterize it's going to be different for each one, but this is at the behest of you to move this forward, whatever
Right.
the shape this is as that moment is
Right.
taking on. So someone just said, okay, well, is there a certain breathing technique for breathing in your new incarnation? And absolutely, there you can do different things that would be helpful. The best answer that I would give to that is that it will be unique to you, and you'll find that it's incredibly familiar.
Yeah.
It may take you a few moments or intentional focus of it to realize the familiarity, but you will find that it's very, very familiar. Like coming home, like an old friend is now joining you, or maybe if there was something you used to do as a kid, certain songs in a, oddly enough for me, in a hymnal that, because I used to be in the choir and would sing all the time. All those certain things, they're not necessarily songs that I would sing now or whatever, but the notes and the frequency and all of that, right? So there's a familiar, and outside of the whole church structure and all that kind of stuff, but the vibration, the frequency of that. So that would be one of the things I would say, is that you will find it's quite astonishing, the familiarity that you'll find with that. And the other thing that I would add to that is that well, the first way I want to phrase it is give yourself the gift, love yourself enough, trust yourself enough, honor yourself enough to consciously and intentionally set out to do it, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times a day, even if it's only for 20 or 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Because as you do that, you'll well, even someone who is refraining as well, I'm so busy, can say, okay, well, I all right, 30 seconds, I can do that,
Right.
So that kind of gets you over that.
Yeah. Take 30 seconds and breathe.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes there's a battle there, and there's this kind of this set up resistance, and go back to what we talked about.
No, I'm not making fun, because I'm right there. I am that person.
No, I know. So for me, it's any technique that you can use to slide under the radar of that, shielding, that's going to say, oh, well, then you can do it. And so maybe for 30 seconds you get it, and part of it is, what's the big deal, and part of it is nothing's working, or I got nothing, and then there may be half of a second, it's like, oh, and then you go on to something else, and then you do it again. Oh yeah, right. And those just those little wisps of something, it's just like one molecule of the amount of breath or time or whatever, and now you're feeling that, and you're not chasing it, but your receptors, your whole knowing and noticing and breathing and being receptors are meeting that one, in this analogy, molecule, and then you hang out and you got two of them, right, kind of a thing. So that would be one of the ways that I would say would be helpful.
Well, I'm gonna say activation alert at this moment because as you were describing all of that, there's all kinds of activations going on over here. So I know I'm not going to be the only one in that.
No, that's the whole actually intention of this.
Yeah.
Remember last night I was talking about, I'm quite sure how I'm supposed to play this, but they'll figure it out. And
Yeah, this is awesome though. And you know what? I think that analogy for me of that in breath being the oxygen to feed the alchemical fire is a really good visual. It's a good metaphor. It's a good bit of an activator for me as well. So that's interesting.
so I want to say, do you have, each of you, I want to play with this for a moment, nudge to do this. So do you have a natural object around you, or so that could be a rock, it could be a crystal, could be a feather, could be a piece of...
Okay, I have choices. Popcorn or rocks? I'll take a rock. I might eat the popcorn. It was right here.
And so same if others want to play, is there some kind of natural, so I'm going to lean over from this. So, this is a pine cone, a piece of turquoise.
Oh, you want, we need more than one.
I'm just saying, if people are looking around and they're not sure, driftwood, could be a piece of wood, could be a piece of glass, whatever, right? Just look around and if you've got a glass of water, that's natural. And the air around you is natural too. So anyways, just to look, and what I'd like to do is just have you hold if you're right-handed, whatever is your dominant hand, put the piece in the opposite hand.
Okay.
And actually, I'd like to do this one with all of their sensory stimulation. So I'd ask in this one not to close your eyes. Okay. So just hold it so that for the camera anyways, you're not looking directly down at it, but like right now I'm looking at it, but I'm facing the camera as I do that. So if in a comfortable way, if you can do that, so that you can see it, not that we can see it.
Well, if I'm going to look at you and not at it, it's got to be here. I'm looking at it.
No,
wait a minute. And I'm like, am I looking at it or am I not? I'm sorry. I lost something. I got lost.
No, you're looking at it.
My rock is buzzing in my hand. So
yeah.
I got
well,
lost.
It's going to get better.
Okay. Don't look at the rock. Do look
at the rock. Look at the rock, yes.
Do look at it. Okay.
Do look at the rock. And what I'd like to do is take, so I'm going to hold the time to myself, but we're going to just take a few moments. And with your eyes open and consciously breathing, whatever that means to you, however you feel that, whatever that in-breath and out-breath is, and whatever that syncopation is that you're having with that, what you're looking at, what you're connecting with. And as you're connecting with it, you're connecting with it with your senses and its surface, and where its surface touches your surface. And you're just connecting with it. And you're just having that exchange, that in-breath and that out-breath. And you're noticing that what it is. And as you notice that and you have that connection and you're subject to it, you're becoming in sync with it, you're going into that and it's going into you. And then as you're finishing that, just come back and whatever it is that you're looking at is what it is, and you're just you with something in your hand. And so what did you notice?
Can I start?
Yeah.
Well, at first I was listening to your instructions, right? And so I kind of noticed that it felt really, I'm very hot right now. And it feels very cool in my hand. And I was like, wow, you're very cool. You know, I just noticed it. And I began to notice cool waves going out of the stone and into my hand. And as I was just sort of observing that sensation, I began to see physical waves. You know how you can see heat waves? And what looked like heat waves were coming off, well, I'll show you what I'm looking at. Heat waves were coming off the points, and yet I was still feeling or sensing the cool waves in the contact point between my hand and the bottom of the stone. That was very exciting. So thank you.
Was it dissipating some of your heat?
I think so. Yeah. Yes.
Sheila?
Well, I switched hands after we were done because I wanted to feel the sensation over here. I don't know. It's almost as though I connected with it the moment you began speaking, because I even said my hand is buzzing.
Right.
And I noticed I mean, it's still there, and it actually became a part of more than just my hand. And it felt as though, again, it's a bit similar to what I experienced when I experienced my Reiki. And it felt like an ebb and a flow, and maybe that was in syncopation, as like you were saying, with my breath. Mm-hmm. Because I was, to be honest, I was trying to pay attention to both my breath and my connection to the stone. Mm-hmm. I found myself breathing a bit deeper as I, I don't know, sort of merged in, like you were speaking, This particular stone has a very interesting surface. So I kind of was getting, drawn in. So that's a really cool little exercise there.
Yeah.
And someone said, well, you guys were talking that it seemed to them almost like hypnosis, except that they and the object were in their own hypnosis. And what is hypnosis other than, well, the way I would hold it in this moment is that you're letting go of the other things and you're just focusing, you're open to what it is you're focusing on. So
right, when you say letting go of other things, what I got in my head was the expectation of whatever.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for saying that, Sheila, because you jogged my memory about something I've been meaning to talk about for a super long time. I had this awareness of how important it is for me personally to approach every situation from this moment on. And it was this epiphany I had out in the gazebo, in the backyard. And I was, sort of doing my connecting with everything. Oh, shoot. It's leaving me. Don't let this happen again. This happens every time I try to talk about it.
Don't fight it. Just don't grab at it.
What were we talking about?
I've been meaning to say this. It's come around a lot, and I want to share it now.
Well, but it was something that I said that jogged it.
Uh-huh.
I said, BZ was talking about it being a form of hypnosis that we were conducting for ourselves. And by letting go of that, and what I got was letting go of the expectations of whatever.
Yes.
Go.
That's what it was. It was about the, well, attachment, expectation, however you want to hold it, expectation, really. And what it was is I felt that scripture about be as a child and only children enter the kingdom. And that kept swirling around me for a couple of days. And I was like, what? Like a child, you know? I don't get the child bit. Other than play. Honestly, I was thinking play, play, play. And then it came to me. I got it. I have to release all expectation. Okay, what is different about the play of a toddler than the play I was engaging in? Is I had sort of agendas and attachments, and I had expectations. Instead of showing up clean and fresh and saying, and because for the child, this is the first to everything. So every experience is magical. They need it for what it is, right? And I've never done that as my adult self. Meet it from where it is. I'm too busy being attached to what it should be, and I'm trying to constantly force it into that shape or form or smell or flavor or what have you, instead of meeting it for what it truly is and engaging in that place like a child where I'm seeing it for the first time. Because really, if I were to engage it for what it truly is, I will be seeing it for the first time, because I haven't been holding it as just as equally as conscious as I am. And a part of me that has come here to interact with me so that I might see different angles of myself. And when I do hold it that way, it is like being like a child or an infant, in that everything is fresh and new, and it is what it is. And to interact with it from that fresh, place is what I'm striving to do in every moment. Now, I don't always carry that energy, but I'm remembering to more and more. And the more that I do so, the more magical my environment is becoming. I really realize that, I want to put everything in my mouth, okay? Like, I want to experience it in a brand new way. All over again.
Okay, you want to play? You want to play? I've just got a nudge. Ready to play again? Okay, so put
Sure.
whatever rock, whatever you're holding, and now I want you to find something, for lack of a better way to describe, man-made. So it could be this, or something like that, or something like this, or whatever. Find something, right? And again, looking at it and choose a hand, put it in the hand, hold it, and look at it. And your phrase again, Lisa, is meeting it for the first time.
Yes.
So I'd like you to look at this and meet this, connect with this, and come into connection with this, and surround it, and let it surround you with that meeting, with that connecting, with the breathing in and out, with oxygenating each other in your space. In each holds a space, and what are you feeling? What's your encounter?
Can I go first? Well, that was beautiful. I saw life and pure beauty and desire to be set free to experience its own gratitude, a lot of love. Can I show you my object?
Yes, please.
It's a dragonfly this
Cool.
man made.
Cool.
It's just wire that I wrapped around a stone to create a dragonfly.
So are you surprised with the connection and
Yes, absolutely, I am.
I can tell.
Oh, and I was holding.
everybody can hear, I would imagine,
What?
but everybody can, I would imagine everybody can hear and feel that connection. There was a connection there.
Yeah, and that was, it took me by surprise.
And that, you know, is how breathing in your new incarnation works, because that's the truth, the true encompassing of what we are, that singularity that we are all unfurling right now. Does that, is that, be's that. And imagine how you then do that with everything and everyone and every moment, the air in the room, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. This is a great exercise in focus and attention too, because that is always there.
Yeah.
Yes.
What you've done is call our attention to it.
So let's hear yours. What is that?
Well, this is a humo. I probably pronounced that all.
Oh yeah, it's one of those twisty things you make.
Yes, it's a little board for a specific type of Japanese braiding that I've been teaching myself. And as I was holding it and looking and again concentrating on my breathing, I saw it begin to move, which in a really animated fashion that I know that you guys can hardly, but you can see that it has scalloped edges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And numbers.
And numbers. But it began to dance as though it was a live flower. You know, like there was a little movie I saw once called the Spiderwick Chronicles, and there were sprites that actually were little flowers, and it put me in mind of something like that, a little flower. It was actually a sprite. But it was sort of imperceptible and only around this side that was facing me. But I watched it. It was like fluttering, like beginning to want to dance, or
Yeah, it's like you can see the molecules get excited by the attention.
How delicious is that to know?
Responding to you.
Well, here's a flash, right? Right in this moment, it's a dictionary picture of, this is a pictorial dictionary. It's not an intellectual exercise, that everything is energy.
Well, yes, very true. And Lisa, what you were saying there made me, that it got excited by the attention.
I was surprised. That surprised me.
Well, but it makes sense, because look at things like the moment that a house is empty for a very long period of time, no one's paying attention to it. There's no life there. It feels devoid of life. And it's not that it's not, but there's nothing paying attention to it. The same thing happens with cars. And guess what? The same thing happens with people too.
Yes.
I mean, you hear that kind of thing when there's no connection. Right? Yeah, can become an issue for folks.
Yes, and that's a good point there, because if the being in that case, I'm going to have to put this on hold for 1 second. I'm going to talk while I go do this annoying work thing.
Oh. Wait a minute here. Oh, there we go. Actually, BC, if it's all right with everybody involved, I'd like to pause this for a moment.
Okay.
1 second.
I'm going to pause the recording. Can you do that, BC? Okay. So thank you for that. It won't look like anything's happened to anybody else, but you know, I had to have a tinkle break. So
Well, me too.
okay, BC. So you were getting ready to. I hope you remember what you were getting ready to say.
BZ's turn to remember.
But we can just start new. I was no.
Oh, okay. Well, I really, and you're right. I have said a lot to everyone or anyone who will listen whenever I do talk about energy, that we are all energy, every single thing, regardless of what it is.
That's right.
You know, and I had already begun, you know, actually speaking to things like, you know, when I'm creating something, thanking all of the hands that went into that creation, engaging in my creation, trying to engage with it in all sorts of different kinds of ways.
Mm-hmm.
As part of my my own desire to infuse my heartfelt gratitude for all that it is to become under my hands, as I gift it then, or you know, hopefully someone will gift me back. You know, that's part of the idea of some of what I'm doing is to, you know, to try to bring in cash. So, but I want it to be infused with a portion of me. And that portion, I would like for it to be gratitude and love, rather than, you know, oh, I gotta hurry up and get this done, you know, because I want to become very conscious and aware of the frequency with which I'm holding myself as I'm doing a particular thing, specifically creatively. Mm-hmm. So I was already experimenting with that for myself. And this kind of just brought my attention to an expanded version of that. You know, I mean, I was trying to set out to be very conscious about what I was doing and mindful as I was doing it of the frequency that I held as I was creating, so that energy signature bit of me would be the best version and the best, you know, not just best version of myself, but my heartfelt, you know, what I'm trying to infuse it with.
Okay. I'm listening to you, but so many things that are highlighting are flying off you that if I don't write them down to go back into them. Okay.
You know, so go right ahead.
So one thing that comes forward in what you just said is when you were doing this with that, I forget what we're calling it, the pink thing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you meet that intention? Did that intention shift, change, evolved, or did you connect with it differently or just in general in any way when you did this exercise right here?
When I did this exercise, well, no, I did connect with it in a different way, I think. Because I, for the first time, as I was gazing at it, I was also appreciative of the beauty of it as it sits, not as a tool for my use, which is a difference in how I had engaged with it when I was, you know, making this necklace with it. when I was engaged in making this necklace with it, it was a tool, and I wasn't really engaging it for just its own beauty. That, like I said, the fact that it actually sort of looks like petals on a flower, that I didn't consider that. I mean, I might have briefly, when I saw it for the first time, thought that, but it wasn't an engagement or an interaction like this was. A mindful interaction.
Okay, so go back to it for a moment, at least in the thinking part, and of what you were talking about, separate from this exercise, that what your intention was to have when you're doing this, what you're doing, and hold up the necklace for a minute, or is it a bracelet?
It's a necklace.
Necklace, yeah. Okay. So stop wiggling it and bring it a little closer so people can see it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. And on the neck, it looks really cool, which we saw last night, or I saw last night. Okay, so now the question is, you had an intention around that about wanting to infuse what you were creating with an intention, with a thought process, with the love flow, all that kind of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Now you just said that you connected with the little pink thing, mm-hmm. right? In a different way, not just a tool to do something, right? But for its own right there, the valuing it for all that it be right then. Yes? Okay.
Right.
So now is it fair to say that there's a co-creative dance going on that is shifting your intention, right? Just like with Lisa with her stones or wire or whatever it is.
Right.
Or, and this is still absolutely for this part that you've mentioned, but how we now can hold anything else, anyone else, any other system, structure, being, right? You know, people talk about money or this, and we are the value. Well, if there's a valuing and not just a tool, a means to an end, well, in doing this, we can't help but remove all of that conditioning, all of that thought process, all of that encountering. It's usury on all sorts of forms. And a lot of it is completely unintentional, totally unconscious, and not understood because it's just a pen, or it's just a round pink thing that looks kind of like a weird daisy sort of thing, right?
Right.
But the whole point of this, what we're playing with here, is breathing in, your new incarnation, and whereas in these different little game segments we've been playing, I haven't said, okay, now close your eyes and focus deeply on your breathing. But your breathing has changed every time. And your breathing has syncopated with that which you're now focusing on and connecting with. And clearly, since you've had a connection, I mean, in Lisa's voice, you could hear it in her voice, you could see it in her body language, right? And Sheila's as well, just in different ways for the different things. It's palpable, that change, that connection. And so if you're, think, well, okay, I can do this because it's just a little thing. But then you start to get in, and then you notice whatever it is, you're in the grocery store and you're just waiting to go in the checkout line, or you're smiling at someone's face, or whatever it is. All these things happen. So I just want to go on to the next one before I forget. Because I'm going to tie this, what I just said, into the last one in a minute. So you said you wanted to infuse yourself into the pieces you were making, and you wanted to do it consciously and be mindful of it, because yes, you did want to have an exchange, because that way you can exchange the different things and then use some of the FRNs to go and do other things, right? Okay. But you didn't want to hurry up and do it and just get it done. Right? Okay.
Right.
So this is more, I just noted that down because I want to use this as I'm always trying to, it's my training to always try to balance, the totally way out there with the, yeah, but I live in the real world and got to do stuff. So I want to just mark and highlight that the funny thing is, as you do this intentional, and you connect with these things and you start to flow in a different way with how you're doing these, whether it's an object or a tool or a being or whatever it is, that whole flow of energy of the time thing, of it taking a lot of time or it be slowing down or you got to hurry up, it vanishes. And now you are in that flow. I forgot, the guy with a very long name wrote this book called Flow. And it's like you could think of it like a vortex. It's like oh, I know. It's like, if you go in the big airports, and there's long places like Atlanta is one of them, where you got to go from one gate to there is like miles, and you take one of those people conveyors, whatever they're called, and you get it right. Okay, so when we do this and we're breathing in this, because this is how we're learning to, we're breathing in and making ourselves, in essence, for a moment, that people mover, that time mover, that conveyor belt. So it does not take the prescribed, the thought of the delineated or delegate amount of time, because time is a false construct. This takes us out of that, and the flow, it's there. So you could say there's more productivity, there's more all those linear things you could ascribe to it. And then your soul heart-based things that you want to connect to it, and they come in the flow, and it happens very quickly. Does that make sense? And that I wanted to know, because there's a couple of people who said, well, yeah, I can be spiritual once I get some money to and having been there long ago, saying that refrain and finally figuring out that no, it doesn't really work that way. But and so I wanted to mark that. Then the last part I wanted to say is that and I can't read my handwriting. Oh, so we've just played a little bit with little of these pieces of things, whatever was kind of at hand, and one of the things again that I want to mark here is that intentionally I was, well, it was kind of a dual nudge with each other, me and me, to show that we can do it with, we don't need our eyes closed. We can have perfect focus and attention with on camera and this and that, all sorts of things going around, not knowing what it is we're doing. Someone just says do this, do that. We change our breathing without being told to change our breathing, right? Because we're in this flow. And so we can do it anywhere, with anything, anyone, any subject, any object, in any time, no time, and any or no amount of time. Waiting in the office, driving the car, standing in the grocery line, at work, whatever it is. And why is that helpful to mark? Well, because it may help some who have a routine, a habit, a rut of saying, well, but you don't understand, or I got this, or laundry list, and that. And then when you keep doing it, because now you've seen and you can play with it yourself, that those can vanish instantaneously. if you're still in that, then you can truly see that that's a choice you're making. And that's actually more beautiful a choice than it was a moment ago, because now you're consciously realizing that you're making the choice.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that choice.
Absolutely not. Because and the beauty is that now you see that you're making, you go, oh, right? Because then that makes you free to keep making that choice and feel absolutely great about it, because you made the choice and you're the expert for you. So it is in that moment the absolute best empowered spot on choice, right? But marking it helps you see that, where maybe before you didn't see it.
No, that's absolutely true. Well, the other thing that I feel like, for me anyway, that you help me see with this exercise is that, you know, that kind of an interaction can be had with anything, anytime, anywhere, regardless. Because it brings to mind, like, Lisa has said, you know, some of her best meditation is done while she's, you know, doing dishes or, you know, something else. And that really kind of, this experience for me, I noticed that what it did is it was akin to a meditative state. So just, you know, taking myself out of myself in that moment, and because that's what it felt like to me, and engaging here rather than here, you know, I brought my attention there, and then with the breathing in tandem. I don't know, that was a very interesting exercise for me. And there was something else that I noticed. We talk about value. It sort of helped me. Okay, so it might sound silly to some. Like we said, it's just a pen, or it's just a little foam board. But the value of this feels more intense to me in these moments now. Partially due to the experience itself, but also just the act of engaging with it, I guess, if that's making any sense.
It is, yeah.
So that for me also lends to, again, that focus and attention, and how that translates into value for me in this moment of now. Oh, and this just came in, and I get to choose what the value of something is to me, no one else, by the way. So to say, well, that's not, what do you mean? Well, I don't know. I guess the beauty in the eye of,
I'm going to interrupt you just for a second, but because we mentioned last night about barter and stuff, that's what I'm saying, value, and this is a whole other subject. But now you've gotten to you've stepped in a few more steps into realizing the value. So for you, there's value. It doesn't matter what everybody else is, but in that value, in that co-creative space, you said it has more value now, and the dance can have more richness. What the two of you co-create together has more transformative juice within just the two of you, yes? And then within what it is that is the third that comes from it, so the triad, and then what is the next third triad that comes with you and it and the being who is seeing or encountering that wherever you are, perhaps trying it on, perhaps thinking, oh, what is that? How do you do that? What is that? Perhaps taking it home, whatever it is, right? So now you're 3, 6, and 9ing all over the place, which is an energy frequency of flow and creation. And aside from the piece itself, it's a conduit energy field of valuing that which is valuable, and of value and a meaning of value for each being, whatever that means to them. Not because, well, you know, teacher is valuable, but a rock star is even more, you know, which are all placeholder things.
Right.
Which is why, and this is a whole other conversation, but which is why the barter system invariably goes a little off kilter, because it is born of the separation, hierarchical,
right,
linear thing where, you know, okay, well, that's worth two of these things to my one kind of thing.
right.
Because how someone values something for themselves, that I want that thing. I've got these things. Is there anything that you looking at value here? Because that's, and you say, yeah, well, does that work? Yeah, great. So you could look at the two things and think, wow, that someone else might say, well, that's a lot. But if I really want that, I value that. And I've laid some things out that, you know, it could be a horse, you know, or it doesn't matter. What the point is, it doesn't matter, because in that moment, the valuing is intrinsic to each being and how they're co-creating it. So one last thing I want to just, there's a couple things, but one last thing I want to just ask or play with is, you said when I was doing this exercise, playing with this, a quote kind of like, take myself out of myself, right, in doing the exercise. Yes? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so what came to me to ask is, could it be that you're breathing in yourself, oxygenating yourself and enlivening, exciting all of the molecules of which that are you, right? That you are meeting without any distortions the field that is around you and that is in, you know, that pink daisy thing you were holding. Just a question.
Yeah, actually, yeah, because as I was engaging with it, the reason I chose those words is because it, in both instances, with this item and with my stone, there was a sensation and of I don't know, stepping outside of myself, and so I without leaving the body. I mean, that's not what I meant, but it was wow, this is difficult for, I've never been at a loss for words ever. Let's see if I can get, it was I know that focus and attention was part of it. And it felt too like I was stepping out of my mind, for one thing. Okay. And that's what I was partially referring to, but it also felt more expansive than just stepping out of my mind. It was, and I'm sorry, but with the rock, I felt like I was getting ready to just, you know, land on this surface, like I was actually, you know, putting myself right there, so to speak. So, and the engagement with this particular item and seeing it physically move in my hand, full well knowing I couldn't feel it moving, but it was moving in my sight, in my physical sight. It was moving, and so that's the reason I chose those words. So in answer to your question, I hadn't considered it like what you just said, but I could see where that would be. That's me breathing into a new incarnation, but a perspective that I hadn't ever allowed myself to be open enough without attachment or expectation. Lisa, thank you so much for that. To experience prior. And so, yes, I feel like that could be, that's in and of itself a new incarnation, isn't it?
Well, and I love something you said. You said, in how you were just describing it, you said, in relation to stepping outside of myself, it seems bigger than that. So
Right.
you have stepped out of yourself here and stepped into yourself, hence breathing in your new incarnation.
Oh, wow. Now I'm freezing again. Jeez Louise.
I call that observer mode, where you're observing the entire interaction from, like you said, outside yourself, and you're seeing both parts of it. And because that you're observing it and you're experiencing it, you're having this awareness at the same time that I am both the stone and the person conversating with the stone and the observer of said conversation. And it just does this whole wangy sort of,
there's your triad. There's your triad again.
Yeah, and you become whole again in that triad.
And more than stepping outside of yourself, because you've stepped into yourself.
The wholeness of you.
Wow, I hadn't even felt it like that until now, but I feel the truth of that.
Yep.
Man, I hope that some of our viewers will do this exercise or will have done this exercise.
Yeah, play along with us.
Yes, and I really, 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 really want to hear from you. I'd love to hear about your experiences, especially if you, like me, haven't experienced anything like this before.
Okay. Hey, we just got a challenge, or I just challenged us, or
okay,
whatever you want to say it, but with create, love, and chuckling.
Now I'm scared of this. I was okay, but now I'm getting kind of scared. Not gonna lie.
I
was okay. That we play with the chuckling. Well, yeah, that we play with going live at different times when a game like this nudge comes in, and we give, because I'll, as nudges invariably do, I'm at work, and yeah, I do understand because I'm at work, and I can go nudge. So you guys are at the computer. I just got a nudge to do X, Y, or Z, play the game, set it up, say we'll go live in the, let's see, I could be doing it in 30 minutes. And it's a short nudge, and I only got 22 minutes I can do. Right?
I love this. I love this idea. So let me just say this.
What?
I hate it.
Why?
No, I'm teasing.
I was going to say, I
love it so much I can't stand it. I hate it.
I was going to say, I knew she wasn't telling the truth about that.
Well, especially since she and the dragonfly got it all going on. In fact, the jewelry in the Wired with Love has jumped to a whole new neighborhood and stratosphere. Yeah, right. So, yeah, okay. Just checking. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So,
No, I always do that. We've done that since we were, I don't know, Jasmine and I play that. She'll clean her whole plate and I'll say, oh, so how was dinner? And she'll say, I hated it. Sorry. So I'm just playing. I love this idea very, very much.
me too. And
I
so,
ate the whole plate.
so if you haven't already subscribed to both of our channels, I suggest,
Yeah.
I highly recommend you do so now.
And the cool thing is, so you can play live, which would be really great, because then you can really feel it. If maybe you're thinking you can feel sort of the stuff here. Although I'd be willing to bet that just about everybody, for some of the pieces where the activations were intentionally very, very active.
I know I could feel them.
It could all be felt, you know. And,
yeah,
and
call
then
you out on it because I could feel it, man.
yeah. So in the moment, you can do it, and then you can also, you know, if you miss the live or whatever, you can play. But as everything else, it begets more of something else, and so, you know, there may be more with each of us, all of us, and various combinations of us, and, you know, nudges here. I'll just speak for me here. Nudges here that go, oh, well, hey, let's go, you know, do that way. So.
Yeah. Well, I do feel, I've been feeling, Lisa and I both been feeling there's going to be a whole lot of lives coming up soon.
Yeah, no, I've been feeling it too. I have no idea what I'm going live about or what I think I have to say. But something is coming.
Yeah. So, yeah. Something seems to be brewing. And it feels delightfully delicious, not gonna lie. Wow. Well, do either of you have anything you'd like to add to this delicious little bit of play?
Thank you for all the fun.
Yes, BZ, thank you for this. This has been all awesome. I think I have to go to sleep now. No, I'm very serious. It's not that late here.
I'm already sleeping.
This is why I couldn't do it last night. I didn't have the wattage left to do it.
But that's why, because we needed this wattage. This was wattage.
Yeah. But
I mean,
it's
serious wattage, because when I say, because
in order to feel it, I have to have the wattage to
right. And so I'm glad that we waited till you were feeling it.
Right? Yes, absolutely. Well, that's a good example of divine timing, is it not?
Yes.
Yeah.
And following your heart's desire.
Yeah.
Yes.
One other thing I would just say to the moment of, you know, the liveness. So if you're at work or wherever it is and you have a few moments here or there, you know, if you have a bag or a pocket, or if your car is with you, or, you know, or maybe just around wherever you are, you know, that you can always play. It'll always be set up so that if there is, like an example of what we did tonight, where you're holding something, it can be anything. So you can, there's, you know, everything is energy. So you're all set.
Yep.
You always have all the tools you need.
No, that's absolutely true. I say that all the time because, and that's provable. I mean, anybody can go and look that up, you know, at the most basic level, every single thing, even that which we have always considered man-made and therefore not alive.
And that's why I wanted to,
yeah, the two separate things, right?
Yeah. So one was man-made. Yeah,
because when you look at anything under a high-powered microscope, it's all energy.
Yeah, one was man-made and one was natural.
Yeah.
So that as you interface with things, you have the capacity. And one other thing probably is a whole nother conversation. Well, it is a whole nother conversation, but I just want to add in here that people think, well, how, you know, creating, how are we going to do these new systems? Don't we need the old? Don't we need to fix revamp something. So, well, this is how you do it. So if you can have and watch, even if you didn't have them, if you didn't play along, you just were watching, see these experiences right here with these things. And I'll ask you both to share in the various ways that it comes through, kind of the progression of what's something new opened up and transpired in the mix of your things, right? Because they're creative, tangible, right? Materialized things, which will then materialize other things. So you'll come back and you'll share all of that later. But this is a really good example of how we don't know how to do it or how to make it or how to whatever it. And yet we haven't met or asked or connected with whatever it is that we want. You could do this with a site. You think that there's a kind of a location, so that kind of a site near you that your community needs an X, Y, or Z, and site, and you go connect with the site. And if you don't know where that is, you can connect with the site of the community where it is, just sitting in your living room. And there'll be places that will show you that will come forth. This is how we do it.
Yeah. No, well, I want to echo you here and say, yeah, because we are not
right. And we're the ones, you know, you can put all the platitudes in there. We're not small. We're not missing anything. We're the ones we've been waiting for. And, you know, we're the leaders in creation of all things. In all.
Yeah. Man, I've had a really huge day, y'all. Yeah. So, I mean, this is
a helium balloon.
Yes. No, serious. Yeah. I've had 3 conversations today, and they have each built on the last.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why I feel like the sleepy train is about to run me over. And I'm freezing again.
Yeah, I'm sweating.
I know.
Heat down, girl. You're killing me over here.
Well, give me 5 seconds. I'll probably be sweating right with you.
Hey, ask your amethyst.
Oh yeah.
To cool you again.
Cool you off.
I will need a breeze, please.
I would need a breeze, please.
Okay, I gotta run back to work.
Well, I want to just say one more time to everybody, make sure you are subscribed to both BZ Rieger's channel and to Conscious Conversations Central. Hit that little notification bell so when we do go live, you will be notified. And let me see. Oh, yeah. And if you've had a really cool experience because you played along, I really want to hear from you at consciousconversationscentral@gmail.com or at bzrieger@gmail.com, whomever you feel led to reach out to. And all the information to contact each one of us, as always, is in the Show More section of every video that I put out. So
yeah, and the IUB comment section is a good place too. So share it, you know, and it just occurred to me, someone.
Yeah, I keep forgetting to say that.
They like someone, and hopefully they'll share it. They saw something in one of the windows, you know, of us, and they were doing their own playing with something that they saw. So in other words, when they're looking in, so I would love them to share it too.
Oh yeah,
that's
all I got. They saw something.
I want to hear that.
I've
been seeing a few things too in this particular one, especially with BZ's window. It's doing all kinds of things.
So someone saw some, you know, I that's as close as I can triangulate it in one of the 3 of our, you know, windows into our spaces, and did, you know, what we were doing to that thing, and something happened. That was cool.
Oh, okay. So
I
you're
saying more details, but I'd love someone, or if there's more than important.
Okay. That's really cool, BZ, because you know that has happened before, and we did hear from someone. So I do want whomever that is that BZ is picking up on to
Yes.
please say, "Oh, that's me," and contact us
Yeah.
because
After they're done going, what? Where?
Are they talking about? Yes, we're talking about you.
and don't freak out because you know that has happened before to me and Lisa. We've told that story where the TV said, "Yes, I'm talking to you." So yes, we're talking to you. Okay, bees, I know you got to go. And I just want to thank everybody for showing up and being themselves and, you know, leveling us all up. I love it.
I love you.
I love you too. Till next time.
Much love.
Oh,